to the NKA class, Do It Yourself, Open Terrariums. Before we start our class, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about NKA. New Knowledge Adventures was brought to the Treasure Valley in 2015, and it was modeled after a very successful lifelong learning program in the Pocatello area. We are so thankful for our volunteers, including our instructors, our Zoom hosts and facilitators, and the volunteers who serve on committees that help NKA run smoothly. Before we get started, a few ground rules. Participants can leave at any time, and you can do that by going to the bottom of your screen where you'll see a leave button. Hit that and you'll be allowed to leave the session. Our microphones will be muted today. As we build our terrariums, though, if you have any questions, just use the chat box again by going to the bottom of your screen and hitting the chat button, type in your questions, and then I'll monitor the chat box and periodically ask questions that have been posed there. Today, we're going to record our session. So if you'd like to view it again or view any of our NKA classes that have been recorded, you can do that by going to YouTube and typing in NKA Idaho in the search box. All right, let me introduce our instructor, or actually our terrarium builder leader, I'm going to call her. A lot of you know Pam Root. Pam's a nature lover who maintains a large collection of houseplants, and she also has wonderful outdoor flower and herb gardens. Pam, take it away, please.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope that everyone got their kit in the mail. I assume I would have heard from those of you who didn't. And I hope everyone was able to purchase their little succulents beforehand. So the first thing we need to do, if you haven't done this yet, is take your succulents and put them just about this much water, place them in not really cold water, probably room temperature water. And of course, they're going to have soil on the bottom. What I did is I took a box and I'm just emptying the extra soil in there to use. But yeah, that's the first thing we want to do. And I actually bought 3. And pick out my 3 favorites. So I'm just taking them like this out of the container, and I got these are 1.5 inch, so pretty small. And I'm just shaking it off a little bit, so it does have about half the soil still on it. And then I'm just setting them in a shallow bowl of water here. Some of them don't want to stand up straight, but I think that's fine. Okay. So I wanted to start out by saying, back in the 80s, I don't know, I think most of us remember how popular closed terrariums were. It seems like it was like in the 70s. Is that, I want to say when I was a little kid, but I was a teenager. So, and I actually had one, and those, the advantages of a closed terrarium to me are, I never had to water them, because it's, especially those you really don't want to keep in direct sun, because the condensation, and the condensation gets too much if you keep it in direct sun. Also, they can tend to build algae if you keep them in direct sun. And then it can get just too hot. So, I mean, there's advantages to both. I personally, and also one advantage to a closed terrarium is that the plants don't grow at all as fast as an open terrarium. And so they are quite low maintenance. But I personally prefer an open terrarium, just because you have a little more control over them. But if you get the environment, I'd like to do a class next semester on closed terrariums, but you know, if you get the environment right and you know, put it in the right spot, then they're really low maintenance. The open terrariums, the advantages to me are that you can have more artistic license, you know, to really do some cool rocks, and you can, you know, because of the access, so they're easier to access, and I feel like you have more control on the watering and maintenance. So I wanted to start out, if everybody has their plant roots soaking now, you know, there are different types of plants even that they recommend, different types of succulents that they recommend for a closed terrarium versus an open terrarium. I have had mixed results. It's interesting. I will not say I am an expert in succulents, because I have some that do really well and I end up killing them. And I do a lot better with my regular plants, but I mean, people say, oh, succulents are so low maintenance, and they're not. I mean, well, to me, I mean, now I try, you know, the number one thing you always hear of why plants die is because they get overwatered. Well, I think then I took that to heart, and I end up not watering them enough, and because I don't want to kill them. But I have learned, even though I read that it's okay, or you should like spray succulents, that's a better way to control the water. But then I ended up, I had bought a really pretty bowl from Home Depot of various succulents, and it got moldy. And I thought, well, I am not overwatering this. I know that. Well, then I read that do not, under any circumstance, spray, you know, mist your succulents because they'll get moldy. And I thought, well, okay, I read that that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, so I'm going to say I am only speaking from my own experience. So I do not mist succulents anymore, because that's what happens. And I think from my experience, the biggest takeaway that I've found is to get very well soil that says it's well draining soil. I get it, I buy it specifically for succulents and cactus. And then I also bought, this is at home, so not today, but I know that our kits came with this. It's called, starts with a V, Verma. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know if I have it written down.
It's vermiculite.
Okay, vermiculite, that white, the white stuff. It's not rocks, but it's a porous, what, I'm not sure, it's some sort of a you know, organic material that I mix into like any plants, like say African violets. I only have a couple of those, but they're another plant that does not like to sit. I mean, they want very well draining soil, just like succulents. And so that helps for, you know, when you water them, then the roots don't get root rot from too much water. So in the case of these terrariums, whether it's an open terrarium or closed, well draining soil and rocks, that's essential. Now, another, I just wanted to mention, so I started ordering the kits off Amazon, and then they ran out. And so some of you, I don't know if it's half and half, but some of you have a different kit. So one of them, it came with everything in the one box, and it came with like pretty river rock. The other kit, I had to order the container separate, and I've got it here. Right here. So I was one where I ordered mine toward the last, and so I have the second kit. But I'll go over both. I think they're both essentially the same. The only difference was that the kit where you got this separately, I mean, you should have got it the same day, but it was in a separate package. It did not come with charcoal. And again, charcoal is just another agent or, you know, organic material that helps the drainage. But this kit came with this, they call it, I don't think it's rock. I think it is more like that. Would you say vermicite? Carol?
Vermiculite.
Vermiculite. Yeah, you're the scientist, right? Yeah.
Not
I'm
really.
not sure what type of material, but it is for drainage. So, which is essential with succulents. Okay, so does everybody have their kits out? I'm going to try and angle the, okay, great. I'm going to put this camera down so you can see what I'm doing here. I mean, I'll say this is not rocket science, right? But I think it's good to hear, and I'd love to hear from, I know that several of you are gardeners. My experience is that I'm finding that succulents are a little different. And I really love them. I think they're really beautiful. And but I just want to be a successful succulent grower. Sorry, this camera is not cooperating. I'll just hold stuff up. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do. So on one kit, yeah, it came, I think they both came with moss. Does everybody have the moss that goes on top? Okay. And then the soil, which is it's that organic, well draining soil. And then if either the V stuff, I can't say that word for some reason, or charcoal. Okay. So if you're in your kit, you got little teeny pebbles, you want to put those on the bottom. If you received this stuff right here, put this on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to start with that. And I think that they gave us more than what you actually need. Like I'm probably just going to use half of this. If you got the kit that had a separate container, I'm going to just dump probably about half the container.
That's not, is that called pea gravel or not?
No, yeah, feel it, Marie.
Well, because on the kit instructions,
oh, maybe
it says first gently pour pea gravel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
It doesn't matter.
Does it feel like gravel? I mean, it feels too crumbly. To me, feel it.
It's vermiculite. There's instructions. There's instructions for air plants and succulents that came with that kit, and they're slightly different, but that's vermiculite.
Yeah.
I think the kit some of us received has pea gravel, like mine is.
Okay. Yeah, so if you received that kit, yes. Yeah, Lisa, put the pea gravel down. And then for those of us that received the kit that had the separate glass container, that's the, I'm going to say this right, the vermiculite. Okay, so that's the base layer. And again, if you received this kit with the separate kind of the hole on the side. Hey, Lisa, is your hole on top or opening?
Yes, ours is on top. Mine is on top. The one Debbie's right next
Mine's
to me.
on the side.
One on the side.
Okay, so Karen, you have the same kit I do. So
Yes.
for a side opening, you use the vermiculite. And if you have the top opening, you're going to use the pea gravel. I mean, they're both essentially the same purpose for drainage. And I'm personally just putting like half of this container in there. Yeah, because I read the reviews on both kits and they said that they really provided enough for like 2 kits. So, Okay, so once you have the base layer here, then you're going to add the soil layer. Well, actually, okay, for the other kit, that if you have a top opening, you want to put the charcoal on top of your pebbles, your little pea gravel. About how many of you have that kit, the charcoal?
I do.
Okay.
But Pam, the instructions on the kit say pea gravel, soil, charcoal, and then more soil. So,
Oh, really?
Charcoal.
yeah.
And Pam, those of us who got the kit, the smaller kit that did not have the container, now that I'm spooning some of the soil into my terrarium, there is charcoal mixed in with the soil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
so they took care of it.
Okay, so Lisa, so it said charcoal, then soil, then charcoal. So essentially kind of almost mixing it up like the other kit has
Right.
already done.
Yeah, you're sandwiching the charcoal in between soil.
Okay. Yeah, because since I didn't get that kit, I looked online on Amazon to read the instructions, and it didn't say that. And I just spelled this. Okay. La, la, la. All right. Okay. So I'm going to dump, let's see, about half, I think. Can I see from someone who has a kit with the top opening how much? Okay. Yeah, see with these kits with the opening right there,
I've only used about half.
yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just in
Yeah.
yeah, same here.
Yeah, I've used about a third, and it's almost to the bottom of that circular opening, and I don't think we
Oh.
want to go any higher.
Okay, you must have put a little more. Yeah, I'm about that much. Okay. Okay, so follow Lisa and Karen of the instructions if you have the top opening where you're going to put the layer, the soil, charcoal, soil. And then once you have that down, then you want to take your soaking succulents and just place them wherever you want. Okay, so my kit came with 3 plastic dinosaurs. I think I'll skip that for now, but
They're cute little dinosaurs.
I know they are. If my boys were still young, they would like them.
Yeah, these fit pretty tight in here.
Yeah. How many did you get, Marie?
2, but they
2.
look like they're
Oh,
squished.
yeah.
They're pretty
Yeah.
squished. They're 2-inch, but they like each other. They're hugging.
They better like each other.
You're stuck in the same place together, so.
Okay. I actually have like a big bag of like polished river rock at home. See, that's where I like, there's pros and cons of having a virtual. Virtual is that people that live outside of the Boise area can attend, but it would be kind of nice to do this all in person, to bring, more fun things to put in your terrariums. And because, yeah, I think I'll put a few decorative rocks in here, which I want to see the river rock that you guys got with the top open kit, because we didn't get that. Okay, so I think this kit with the side opening is a little bigger container because I'm able to now fit 3 little succulents in it. Can I see anybody's that is getting them? Oh yeah, I think your succulents, yeah, yours are bigger. Yours are bigger than mine. I got really teeny ones. So maybe if you got the little bigger ones like Marie has, you probably can only fit a couple. I got the really small ones, so I'm able to fit 3, but
Are you supposed to put the moss around the top of it with the?
yes, yeah, once you have the succulents in place, then you can put a layer of moss. And it looks like this kit came with 3 different types.
Does the moss do anything or is it just for decoration?
Well, okay, so I read on Amazon that it's not alive, but that it can, if you put it in there and it's part of the watering process, that it can come to life. Moss essentially, to my knowledge, it keeps the, like moisture in.
Sure.
And that way, like I have this rubber plant. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of going crazy. I bought it and it was only not even probably a foot tall, but I don't know if you can see it. It runs way up there. And I put moss around, like decorative moss, and so I only need to water it like twice a month. I wouldn't put a whole lot of moss, just enough to cover it. Yeah, they put a lot in this kit. Yeah, and I'm kind of breaking mine up a little bit. It's stuck together here. It's a pretty color.
So when the plants are sitting in this, how much dirt is supposed to be around them? I mean, is the dirt supposed to go all the way to the top of the plant?
Oh, no.
Just halfway maybe?
No, I don't even, I try not to get any of the leaves, just the, right below the leaves. Yeah, you don't want to.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is since this is smaller, and I put the plants in, they basically only about this much is in the soil. The rest of it is just sitting up out of the soil. Is that correct?
I probably wouldn't have put as much charcoal in there as you did.
Yeah, I didn't put very much. I'm not sure what you're seeing. That's the soil because the pebbles are at the bottom. Then there's a little bit of soil. Then there's the charcoal. Then there's just a little bit more soil.
Yeah.
But it's definitely full. So that's why I just didn't know if I put any more of these plants or I didn't know how much they need to sit in the soil.
I think it'll be fine. And you want to know why? I mean, I also have experimented with air plants and succulents actually kind of are on the same line of that they don't need a ton of soil. And I think, yeah, definitely you don't want to cover, like with any, I mean, most plants, you never want to cover any of the leaves and because that'll choke them out. But I think it'll be fine. I would love to reconnect with everyone like 6 months down the road and see, okay, who's are still alive.
How do you kill an air plant?
Oh, I don't know that you kill them, but I've had 3 for probably 2 years now. And just one of them has multiplied, like had a little baby, but they have not grown. Do you have any that have grown?
No, they just kind of look like they're fake.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm not impressed with the ones I have. I soak them, like the instructions said to soak them once a week for about an hour, but so they haven't died, but they,
I like soil. I
me
like,
too. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, can I see some ones that have the decorative pebbles on top?
Here, so I put the pebbles on top. I did not use all of the soil. I only used about 2/3 of the soil. And I don't want to, I don't want to overdo it. So
Yeah, can you hold it up again, Lisa? Let me see. So that kind of that's to me what I envisioned for that one. I think, Marie, I think yours is going to be fine, but I think I would have put probably less, like Lisa did, less gravel on the bottom. I mean, I don't think yours are going to die, but yeah, that's probably more of the proportion that I was thinking of how Lisa did it.
yeah, I put about 1/2 inch of gravel. So I used not quite I didn't use the entire bag.
I didn't use the whole bag, but almost. I mean,
Yeah.
Pam, I'm going to ask a couple of the questions that are in the chat
Oh,
box.
sure. Yes, please do.
Gypsy says one of her succulent leaves fell off, but she understands she can let that sit and cure for a couple days and plant it. Is that correct, Pam?
Well, I have tried that before, and yes, you can do that. I've had mixed success with having them actually grow, but yes, in theory, yes.
Okay, and then Kathy has a top opening kit. She used everything it came with. She loves it, but it's not exactly a terrarium because her little jade plant is sitting above the rim. Now, this is the interesting part. I found a tiny little, or she found a tiny little mouse skull on a recent hike in the desert and added that as an additional decorative touch on top of the moss. So Kathy, you need to show us.
Yes, yes. Please share.
I lost sound.
Yeah, there I am. Okay, I'm trying to show it, but my background thing makes it look weird. I can't get the camera to show it right. It's right here. Look, there. It's right there. It's a little tiny little skull. And I thought it was cool. And I knew I was going to be doing this class, so I thought I'm bringing that home with me to put it on my terrarium.
Yeah.
But I think my plant I bought is too big. It was a 2-inch pot, but it was kind of tall. So
yeah.
Oh, well,
turned
think
out- I
positive.
like
It
it.
doesn't have to grow.
yeah. Anyway, it's not going to be down in like some of yours look pretty, but I'm happy with it though. Thank you, Pam.
So, Pam, I wanted to go back to the question that Gypsy asked about, when you have cuttings from succulents. What's in my terrarium are actually cuttings from existing succulents, and I cut them off, probably about 5 days ago, and you just let them kind of sit in the air. They start to develop little roots, and you can definitely replant them, and these should be just fine. They had little tiny roots already forming. And some succulents, even as they're growing, you could see that they put off little roots. So yes, you can take a dropped, say, jade leaf and let it sit for a while, and then pop it into the soil, and it should take off and grow.
So you can't just put them in the soil without curing them?
I've done that too, and it's worked. So, you know, most of the time I understand that you have to cure them, but I'm not a succulent expert, but I love succulents, and I generally do cure them for a little bit. Like even if they drop off, like I have a enormous jade plant out in the courtyard, and if a piece breaks off, I let it sit for a while, just right where it falls onto the soil of the pot, and then after a little while I'll pop it into some soil and it will usually grow. So I guess that's curing. Never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I've had better luck curing than I've tried, especially like I consider an aloe plant a succulent, right? But I've stuck it right in the soil and they just did nothing. But I've had better luck curing it. Yeah, Lisa's right as far as like, I have not had luck. You know how with most regular plants, non-succulents, you stick them in a little bit of water, and succulents I have not had, they just end up rotting if I do that. So there could be some that work out well, but yeah. But I think I've had the best success by just letting it sit out in the air for like, I don't know, up to a week or so in it, yeah.
So
And
how much water
Pam,
do you put? How
uh,
often, when you water it, how much water is really that you put in it?
Well, so I would put, for something this size, I would do no more than a half a cup, probably a third of a cup once a week. Because yeah, and if you see the water pooling down here, then cut back. So yeah, I would say like for this one, maybe a half cup tops. And I would do like, to me, I'd probably do once every 10 days. It really depends on, so they do like, you know, full sun for like 6 hours a day, but you don't want it to get too hot. So you really do have to watch that. It's funny because I always think of all succulents as liking full sun, but when I move them to more of a shaded area that gets some direct light, but not for hours a day, mine seem overall to do better. So I really watch the full sun thing because they can just get, you know, overheated. But plus the thing with having the open terrariums is like, I wouldn't want mine to start growing out of control because then it kind of defeats the purpose. But yeah, and more direct sun will make that happen. So
Pam, I'm looking at the chat box again, and CW had asked, it's a two-part question actually, because she just added to it. Can you please explain the curing again? And then the second part of the question, and I'm assuming this is for curing, do you leave them on a paper towel for the curing process?
Oh, okay. So the curing process is just simply like for a normal or regular non-succulent, you know how if you have a start and you remove the leaves on the stem, and then you can put it in maybe an inch or two of water, not soaking any of the leaves. And then eventually within say 10 days, it'll grow roots. I do that. Some people don't. I always find it better to do that. So and then you plant it in soil, but for a succulent, you don't want to soak it in water, and a paper towel would be fine. Not a wet one or damp one, just a regular dry paper towel. And it takes, what would you say, Carol, about a week, you know, maybe 7 to 10 days, and it'll develop little roots. And then that's what you take and you just put it right in the soil, not too deep, just to cover, you know, the roots on the bottom. And so that's what the curing is just to give it time to develop roots. Now, I will say some never do develop roots. I don't know why. Some do and some don't, but some just won't. And you could try planting them. Those are the ones that I've not had good success with them. They just kind of sit there. They usually don't die, but they don't seem to take root and grow. So that's what, does that answer your question?
Hopefully that does. And there's
Yeah.
another question. Elise has asked, should we water them now, or did soaking the roots like we did, does that take care of it for now?
I would let them sit for probably, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 days before. I'm just so hesitant to overwater succulents. And so I would probably, because we did give them a really good soaking. I don't even want to dump this water out because it has like half soil in it. So I've got this here. I'd like to just reuse it. But and I will say another tip. So I would say no, if you really soaked it and yours have like mine, half the soil still on it. Then I think that's probably enough for about the next 3 or 4 days. And then I would water them. But again, I don't recommend misting them. And then watch that you don't have a bunch of water pooled at the bottom. I was thinking of another tip just from experience. I try, so I don't buy bottled water at home, but our refrigerator has a filter on it. And so, but it's very cold water. And so I'll use that filtered water and then let it sit to room temperature. Just because tap water, I mean, you can use tap water. If you do, I let it sit for a few days. I keep it in a container just because it has so many, it does have a lot of chemicals in it. And plants can be affected by that. So that's just a tip. I don't know if it's a make or break tip, but that's just what I do. I mean, do any of you do that with your regular plants? Yeah, maybe I'm just too, I've killed plants in the past, so I try to just baby them, but yeah, so.
Yeah. I'm wondering, Linda has asked, she says in the chat, I'd like to show my terrarium, but I can't figure out my camera. So let me answer that first. Linda, look in the tray, the lower part of your screen, if you're on your computer, and when you take your cursor down there, there should be something that says video or stop video. If you click on that, it should turn the video on. And then for you to be spotlighted, you'd need to be talking. So if anybody wants to share theirs, do we want to do that? And if we do, because it's to be spotlighted, they'll have to turn their microphone on while they're showing.
I would love to see some.
How do we want to do?
It seems like if everybody has their cameras turned on, it's whoever's speaking that it seems to the camera goes to.
Yeah,
so
yeah. So I'm not muted right now. I'll mute myself in a minute, but let me show you. Oh, I'm not spotlighted. Marie, did you set it up to spotlight the speaker when you set this up? When you set the Zoom up, because it's not spotlighting.
Let's see.
yeah, so right now I see Marie.
Yeah, we see Marie, and you saw me. Now you saw me when I was doing the little blurb about
Right.
NKA, but I'm talking
I
now.
wonder
And
what let me think
yeah.
what just occurred.
I think it's a setting issue because before when I was speaking, I could see myself on the big screen, but now I can't. I
Yes.
just see Marie.
Yeah. Well, we can do it like, well, you can't really, I'll do this. Oh, shoot. You can kind of see.
I like
Okay,
your lights,
there you
Marie.
go. You should be back to,
Okay,
I
now
can
it's
see Karen.
working.
Yeah, it's working now.
Okay, now, except I'm not on.
There you are.
yeah, we see
Oh,
you.
you guys can see me. I can't see myself. Can you see
Right.
Yes.
my
I
little,
can.
whoops,
Yes.
Nice.
there it is. And I've got a little bug in there. There we go.
Nice.
Okay, somebody else now.
Okay, well, this is Pam and here's mine. I don't know if you can see it very well.
Very pretty.
Hi, let's see if I'm Jerry, and I don't see
Oh,
I don't
Jerry,
see
got a
myself,
frog in
but
there.
maybe you do.
Oh, we can see you.
Maybe on this side.
I
Is that a
love your
hippo? Is
little,
that a
I love
hippo?
your little blue
Hippo?
hippo.
It's oh my, yeah, you
That's
can see it.
cute.
That's cute.
Yep. Thank you, and thank you for putting on the class.
This one
Debbie.
is Debbie Jensen, my friend, she's here. And this one's mine. We have the two different kinds.
Very nice. Pretty.
I'm Debbie. This is mine. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh,
Am I
nice.
on there?
All right.
Oh, I like how you put the moss up kind of on the sides like that, kind of feathery.
Okay, so I just decided that I went and found a little something to put in it since everybody was putting something in it. Can you see that I found this little dragonfly? I thought, okay, now we really look crowded, but the dragonfly fit on the side.
Well, the succulents that I bought were 2-inch pots, but they're big. The one succulent filled this up. But
Yeah.
I was looking in my closet this morning and I found another container that I can make a covered, well, it's got a lid. So with my second succulent and then the rest of the supplies that were left over from the kit, I'm going to make another terrarium. So that'll be fun. And Gypsy, before I forget, Gypsy says, I always use filtered water at room temp. If you have new plants in the garden, it's nice to let the hose water warm in the sun a bit. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Would anyone else like to share their terrarium before we do the closing? Oh,
Here's
Elise.
Hi, it's Kelly. Oh, sorry.
Pretty.
Nice.
I have a little worry doll in
Oh,
mine,
cute.
Oh,
and some little stones. One says create and one says luck, because I think I need a lot of luck to have us grow.
oh, nice.
I didn't see Clay. Clay, can you do yours again?
Okay. I just used the little dinosaur, and I don't know how to show you up close, but
This way.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Very nice.
I just used the whole kit. My dinosaurs don't want to stand up, but that's okay. It's an earthquake.
They're taking a siesta, Calais.
There you go. And it's great to see everybody. And thank you for the class. It was wonderful and fun and lighthearted.
Thanks for joining.
Is there anyone else who would like to share? All right, then. Thank you so much, Pam. This was great. I'm going to be doing this is like a springboard for me. I'm going to be doing some more projects based on terrariums. I do want to remind everybody that we are at the end of our semester. We're winding down for NKA for the semester, but there are a couple more classes coming up, and I'm going to mention the one that comes up next week. Next week on May 3rd, which is Tuesday, from 1 to 2, there's a class called Retirement as Your New Career. And it's going to be a class where talks a little bit about how retirement changes your life. Yeah, for the better. Explore a long list of ideas of ways to stay active. Raise your awareness of healthcare costs to prepare for retirement. And then it also is going to be very much a class where they want your input also, if you're retired, how you are spending your retirement time. So again, if you want to register for that, you'll go to the same CVent link that you used to register for this class. We're getting a lot of thank yous, Pam. Thank you for walking us through the project. Let's see, golly, just lots of thanks. So, one new message, let's see. Gypsy is finishing hers when her inquisitive cat takes a nap. Yeah, my dogs are barking outside of my door. I'm surprised it didn't pick up. My next door neighbor has a big lawnmower tractor mowing their yard. So my dogs were barking at that. I'm just glad that they didn't interfere with my audio. Any more comments other than thank you so much, Pam?
I have one comment. So I have another round container with succulents, and I was cat sitting my son's cat for about 4 months, and that cat, I had to put it way up on a shelf because he would use it as a cat box. I was like, oh my gosh. Naughty cat. So yeah, so funny Gypsy mentioned that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, everyone, it's so good to see everyone's face, even if it's virtual. Hopefully next semester we'll have some in-person classes, some virtual, but stand by. Committees are meeting, within the next week or so to put things together. Everyone have a pleasant rest of your day, and I'm going to sign off.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
And
Bye,
this
everyone.
recording will get posted either later today or tomorrow. So if you want to share it with anyone, it'll be available. Thank you.